Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast. Today, we're joined by Eric Lynner, CIO at First Independent Bank. Eric, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Before we get too far in, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. Do you know if a hacker's in your system? Most people and most companies don't until it's too late and the hacker's already done damage. A hacker's job is to bypass your security, so companies need a way of knowing when someone's gotten past theirs. That's where Cyberlinks comes in. We've partnered with the best cybersecurity companies in the world to be able to provide our clients with the best solutions at the best prices. So whether it's managed SIM, SOC, EDR, MDR, XDR, you name it, we'll help you find the best solution at the best price. Find out more at cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. And now back to our show. Eric, so glad to have you on the show today. For those who aren't familiar, though, can you tell us about First Independent Bank and your role there as CIO?
Yes, First Independent Bank is a community bank based out of Russell, Minnesota. We have 12 branches in just right in Southwest Minnesota, and we are about a little more than 500 million in assets. So we're a smaller community bank, but we're very big in our community support and trying to build that up and things like that too. So that's kind of, we're a big ag bank also.
Yeah. I love it. And I think one of the things I love so much about the, community banks are that it's such a great environment where you are supporting the local community. It's all about the local community, and service becomes one of these things that is how you stand out from, say a Chase or or a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America. All great. Not knocking them. They have their advantages. But I think when you compare, a community bank to a big national bank, entirely different. The experience is different. Everything's different. And so I think that's really where the community banks get to shine is on the service side, whether it's servicing, clients, or I think what's fun is on the IT side, the servicing, even you servicing the end users. It's entirely different at a community bank than it is a Bank of America.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so what is it that you do, in that vein of kind of customer service, end user support that kind of puts you and First Independent kind of as a standout, as opposed to other places.
So for me, we're small IT shop. It's me and a help desk, and then an infrastructure engineer, and then we have a security guy. So on our side of it, we're pretty small. But as a CIO, I do kind of help be on the senior management, help kind of drive what's coming new in technology, anything new we can do, maybe with an end user experience with our software, so we can provide that better support for our customers when they come into the bank.
Yeah. No, I think that's really, that's really the challenge there, right? And I think it's also funny because yeah, small is a very relative term, but I think that, while people get that, like, yeah, we're small, but I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's where the juice is, right? In that everybody, you get to know more of the end users. That's where the fun is. You can really provide that great experience that I think you don't get when you're calling up a call center type of help desk.
That's exactly right. We have a small ticket system. I put that in when I started just over 3 years ago, just to help organize. But I get people come up to my office even. It's like, hey, can you help me reset a password? Can you help me do this? So I'm still doing a lot of the button pushing, things like that because I have to, which is great. But we're small, but you get that one-on-one interaction with our end users, and they seem to really like that, and it helps just in our on our aspect of it.
Yeah, I think for me that's kind of the same deal. I think as you kind of grow up through IT, and kind of cutting your teeth, if you will, on the service side, it's it's hard to get out of your bones, out of the get it out of your blood, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? It's about helping the organization achieve its goals through the use of technology, and ultimately that means helping the end users, no matter where they are in the organization, leverage that technology and get their so they can do their job, right? And
Yep.
I think I think getting to do that, it's just fun. It's never, I mean, sometimes it's the same problem twice, and you like to avoid that and like, hey, how do we solve this problem so it doesn't keep coming back up?
Right. You find
But
the
it's just
root
fun.
cause.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I feel you when it comes to that kind of you know, the fun of, the helping the end user. So, and I'm not trying to talk and talk about it. So, it's a lot of fun and I enjoy it, but I kind of get the feeling that you have the same issue. You kind of light up a little bit when you talk about, help, sometimes getting to hop in there and reset a password. Did you find it hard to kind of step away from that, or is it keeps pulling you back and you kind of enjoy it? It's like
It
a,
keeps it's one thing that keeps pulling you back in. You enjoy it, but yeah, it's hard to hand off something when you've built it and you've done the things for so long. It comes into with a trust, with the team and like, hey, I know you can handle this, I know you can do this, but then you get into like, I'd like to get back in there a little bit, and that's my engineer side of me. I've been doing this for 15 years or so now. Started out as a help desk, made sure that end users were helped and everything like that. And even before that, my parents owned a hardware store, so customer service has always been big, ingrained into us even when we were little.
Well, let's explore that a little bit because I love what I call the origin stories, like we're a bunch of superheroes. But what was your origin story? How did you get into tech? And then what happened? What was your path to CIO?
Sure. So the tech or the geek origin story came back when I was little. I've always been good with technology. 5, 6 years old, my parents would usually come to me with the VCR. For those of you younger generations,
Yep.
that's the tapes. And they say, hey, can you hook this up to the TV? Because we're not entirely sure how to do it. So 6, 7 years old, I was hooking up VCRs to the TV and helping my parents with that stuff. Eighth grade, I built my own computer, and then kind of worked on that. And I went to a 2-year school. That's what I did. I don't have a 4-year degree. It just came with the experience. I was very good at school and got a job right outside of or right in school. They hired me full time before I even graduated. Um, and so the text thing has just been a part of me, and pretty good at looking at a situation and figuring it out. And then started as help desk, went to a system engineer within the company, to senior network engineer. I got laid off from that job, and then actually went and taught for a year at the school that I went to that I had just graduated from. They brought me back to be a teacher for a couple classes. Worked as a field technician at another company while during that time. So I had a list of clients, hey, this is our issue, come in, fix it, did that. Moved back to where I'm from, with my ex-wife at the time, or wife and not now ex-wife, but let's take that part out.
We've all been there.
Yeah. And so moved back there and then started working at a bank in 2015. I got a call from a guy asked if I would be willing to, look at switching jobs, and I did. And from there, I elevated from there. And then First Independent Bank called me about 3.5 years ago. Asked if I'd be interested in running everything over there. So that's kind of how I got there. It's kind of hot, but I started low level help desk. That's where you start, and then you grow your career from there.
I love it because, to me, that's the mailman, the mailroom kind of start, right? For in tech,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
help
exactly.
desk is the mailroom, right? That's where you kind of, you cut your teeth on in, at the help desk. And I think it's funny because I think that's where you get the best kind of start in tech because you get that experience with people, you get the interactions, you get, and it's I think it's challenging for a lot of people because while they like tech, they might not like people so much. Um, and I think those people you move towards engineering a little bit more and software development and a little further away from the end users. Do you find that to be the case? Is it hard for you to find people to, help out on the help desk? Is that challenging, especially in today's day and age?
Yeah, absolutely. You want a guy that's talented and everything like that, but sometimes a lot of the talented guys, they don't like people. They don't want to deal with it. They want to go in their room, shut the door, and just hammer away on a keyboard. So when I'm hiring help desk, things like that, I like actually look more for, hey, can I have a conversation with you? I can teach you the tech stuff, you
Yeah.
know, but I want to know how are you with the end users? How do you interact with them? Because that's you're our first line of defense, essentially. I mean, they're going to be dealing with you all the time. You know, the terseness of an engineer, it's kind of a little bit expected sometimes, but for 90% of it, you know, you got to deal with the end user, and then there's escalations. You know, our help desk escalates to our engineer if there's an issue, and then they escalate it or de-escalate it back down when they found it and say, hey, this is what it is. You can relay the information.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we've built it, and that's how I was built in other organizations I've been at also.
Yeah. It's funny because I tend to think that, well, you know what? It's really just those geeky guys who don't like, who tend to, and so if I just, if you just hire, tech savvy women, you kind of avoid that. And it's funny that that's not true. People, I think it's the tech thing attracts a lot of people who like technology more than they like people. And so there tends to be more people in tech who like the tech and don't really want to work with people more than they have to. And so I think finding those people who've got those really great people skills and good tech skills, I think that's the harder thing to find. And I think you can teach tech. It's a lot harder to teach people skills. Um, so it's like,
Exactly. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly right. It's like I said, I can teach you the tech. I can't teach you how to interact with people. I mean, I can try, but your personality is your personality. I
yeah.
guess that's how I gotta look at
E-
it.
Exactly. Now, going back to the hardware store, did you find that you really learned customer service and how to interact with people, in the family hardware store? Was that
Oh,
how it
for
went?
sure. Yeah, my parents called it the hardware store when I was a senior in high school. My dad to this day will still say the best thing we ever did was buy that hardware store for you boys because it taught you guys to have a conversation, it taught you guys to interact, taught us how to count change.
Yeah,
You know, everything's all automated, but you know, you give cashier a $20 bill with a quarter because it's a different they freeze. You know, so my dad is pretty funny on that. He's, the best thing I ever did was buy the hardware for you boys so you could learn that stuff. So
that's
yeah, that's
awesome.
cool.
What ended up happening with the hardware store? Still have it or
No,
sold?
small town. You know, business hard.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that was but going back though to those days, most towns had a number of hardware stores before the Home Depot and Lowe's came in. There
Right.
were four or five or six, hardware stores in any town. They all had different stuff. So if you wanted this, you went over to this hardware store. You wanted that, you go to the other. And then Home Depot and Lowe's came in, and that made it really tough for the small hardware store to still compete.
Yeah, for sure.
Interestingly enough, we have there like literally right by my house, we have a little kind of family run hardware store that for the neighborhood. And they pack more stuff into that little store, and they're the greatest people. They're just all, and somehow, my wife will be like, "Hey, why don't you go to the hardware store and get this?" I'm like, "There's no way they have that, right?" Sure enough, they have it, and it doesn't matter how random it is. Like, how? But they know their neighborhood, and it's great, super convenient, just like right around the block. You just go around and boom, there they are.
Yep,
But you don't see that every day. That's a hard one to pull off in the day of Home Depot and Lowe's.
for sure.
So, all right. So let's look at, kind of the future. We've gone over the past. Let's talk about the future. So, where do you see technology and service, the future of that in terms of kind of that first bank and the local, community, uh, banks and credit unions.
I think going forward, I think it's going to be, I think we're going to see more of the AI, the Copilot, and things like that from Microsoft. I think all that's going to come into play, even for the smaller features, is that lower level, and it scares me a little bit because you're going to lose um, that first line, that interaction, that personality thing. But I see it happening. You know, Chat GPT it's a big thing. I was helping my daughter with homework. She had a math question last night, and I didn't know it. I took a picture of the page. I said, "Help me with number 17." Spit it out. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
It's so I think that's where it's going to be going. It is. We see it already on the big sites. You're interacting with that chat assistant and things like that. So you're going to lose a lot of that thing. But I think there's this place for it also, though, on the backside for our users and workflows and tying things together and doing all that stuff and automation to help free up our employees to be able to focus more on the end user, maybe do some more end user training, things like that. So I think that aspect of it's going to be good. I don't want it to take over the personal feel
Yeah.
of being that endpoint.
Well, I think you're spot on, and I couldn't agree more. I think that is where the small town or the smaller banks are going to succeed. I think people are going to like that. As the big banks, I think they will get drawn into the attractiveness of all of these things they can automate, and that will be cool. But at the end of the day, isn't it nicer to still have, your local, teller who knows you? You can walk into the bank and they know you. I, I think it's tantamount to the robotic waiter. Are you gonna want to go to a restaurant where the food is all prepared by robots and delivered by robots? Okay, cool idea, right? So the geek in me is like, oh, that's fun, right?
Right.
Like, cool, neat. I want to see that once. I want to go, and it'll be cool that those things exist. So glad that that's going to happen. But do I want to do that versus, a nice restaurant with a real person who's cooking the food and a real person who delivers it? I think I still do. I mean, you still want that human interaction. I mean, I think when it's all automated, what's that make us like cattle? Just, moo going into to be fed. It's like that's weird. So I think, that's a crazy analogy, but I think it's true though of banks too. I think you kind of hold on to that, that personal interaction, and that becomes, the big selling point, right, for the small bank.
Yep.
Um, okay. But where do you see, like, in the interim, are you seeing it on the security side? Are you planning on using, what's your plan when it comes to AI? Is it like, well, we're still feeling out, it's still early days, or
Yeah,
nope, got a really cool plan.
yeah, we're still feeling it out right now. There's a couple of vendors I've seen that are utilizing AI for like a check fraud. So they'll
Yeah.
scan it through a machine and it analyzes it, compares it to all of your other checks you've written. So if the signature is not right or anything like that, it will kick it back out and say, "Hey, this may be fraud." And that for me, that's cool and it's great. Um, and if we get away from that end user personality interactions like that, we have customers come in all the time that are trying to withdraw money or write a check, and we're looking at it going, that's probably a fraud. We got to interact with them, talk to them, and kind of talk them off the ledge and things like that, and say, no, I don't think this is true. And so, in a personality aspect of for our employees, we're watching out for you also. If you come in those automated teller machines, things like that, you go in, just throw your deposit or take your money out and go. Nobody's really watching you on that. Nobody's got your back. And I'm assuming down the road they're going to come in with some more security frauds and like that on top of that. But right now, I would rather deal with a end user, I guess, or
Yeah.
a teller.
I mean, there's a lot of really cool ways, that you can kind of, I suppose, leverage AI, to help the end user, right? I mean, when it comes to things like fraud, we've already seen how much better, the fraudulers are on your credit cards now. I mean, it's kind of night and day compared to 10 years ago, right? Where it was like, oh, every time I go to a new store, it's fraud alert or nothing at all, right? And so it's like, okay, that was unhelpful. And now it's much more intelligent. I mean, where do you see that kind of playing out in those fraud areas? Is it going to be mostly for checking? Is it, I mean, how's that? I mean, when you look at the senior citizens who are now the victims of, they are really a prime target, and the numbers are staggering how many are being frauded every year. you know, do you see technology stepping in to help them on the banking side? Be like, whoa, grandma, grandma doesn't usually withdraw 5 grand at a time because she's on a
Right.
fixed income. This is a little weird. You
Yep.
know what? Let's give grandma like, is stuff like that coming down, down the pipe? Are we looking?
Yeah, I would definitely anticipate those long things. Like right now on my checking account, I've got it set up so if I pull more than $100 out of my account on my card, my phone's going off. It's like, hey, you pulled $100 out of your account. Is that a legit thing? So those notifications and stuff are coming in there, and that's not really necessarily AI. But that automation piece is, yeah, it's that learning aspect of it. So you can have it scan the accounts, you can have it look at it and say, all right, yeah, this is pretty average for it. Okay, we have a huge spike here. What's going on? And you said exactly right. Is it's I see that coming. I just I don't know enough about exactly what vendors are doing or what they've got up their sleeve. With our core, what they got kind of on their roadmaps also.
Yeah.
So I, I see it coming. Just going to be a matter of how is it going to be implemented and what is the direction that the company is going to go with that
Yeah.
and how to do that.
No, I think it's really fascinating because when you look at, I mean, really, all cyber crime now, for the most, not all, but a large portion of cybercrime is really just, cons and frauds now. That's what it is. It's a modern day con job, right? And then they go after these senior citizens who are easy targets. And how do you know, I think it's a harder learning, that if you were to put something on their device, right, grandma's device, and let's say Siri could listen to your phone calls, and so like as you know, as she's talking, Siri be like, "Hey, grandma, uh, that is not Microsoft tech support. That is that
Right.
this is a fraud. This is a scammer, right?
Yeah.
That's cool, but I think that's gonna, first of all, we have real trust issues right now, and we always have. We like our our uh, our independence and our privacy. So I think especially older people, they're gonna be like, I don't want somebody listening to all my phone calls. You know what? There's something to be said for that. So if we can't do stuff like that with the technology, then can we back that up or, go further up the chain and be like, fine, grandma got defrauded. She gave them this money, but you know what? We're gonna flag that at the bank and say, you know what? This is just weird. We're gonna pause this. We're gonna reach out to grandma and see what the deal is here. I think that's problematic for a chase. I mean, they have to really automate all of it, and then with an automated thing, you're like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm obviously I wanted to just give them the money because they asked for it, and I wanted, and that's why they're getting the money, right?
Right.
Because they're still in the process of being scammed. But a smaller bank can call up and be like, hey, Jane, we noticed this, and can we just want to make sure that it was a legitimate charge, and because it's unusual, so our fraud department flagged it as maybe you were being scammed or something. Be like, oh, you think because they sounded like Microsoft.
Right.
Okay. Right. It sounded like the IRS calling for a bill that I didn't see, whatever it might be.
That's just it. Oh, even it's getting to the point where now deepfakes are getting very good.
Very good.
Um, I met with a vendor a couple weeks ago that was showing me what they can do and everything, and they took a video of our CEO of just a voice of him, and then made a picture of it and sent it to me. And I'm like, you got the voice about perfect. I knew it was, but
Yeah.
on a phone call, that's gonna be pretty tough.
Yep. Now, is that vendor, obviously they were, trying to sell some sort of solution, right?
Sure.
So was it not compelling, the
Uh,
solution? Just
I just got a lot of stuff going on right now, so it's on my roadmap to reevaluate it.
cool. So I'm just kind of curious because I do love the whole deep fake thing, and now this is obviously a bank, oriented solution. What's the angle?
The angle for them,
Yeah. What were they trying to do?
training,
What's that?
training our end users,
Oh,
and then
okay.
so I think that's going to be a big thing too. Is what I would like to see, either other banks doing it, is a lot more of the training with end user or with customers, or an FAQs or videos or something where we've got a resource for them. Hey, this is coming. Hey, be aware of this. I mean, we do Facebook posts and like that. Our customers are pretty good about letting us know that when they get a submission, hey, your first independent bank account, are you trying to withdraw this? Click
Yeah.
this link to log in, and it gets the page that looks just like our login screen. We are pretty proactive on that. If that happens, we try and get a hold of the company and say, hey, take this server offline. And we've done that a few times, but so many can't. So the main thing is education. That's a huge part of it.
Well, it really is because I mean, at any level, whether you're talking about the end customer, at the bank, or you're talking about an end user at the bank or any other organization, training those end users are the easy target, right? It's easy to lock down a network. It's easy to lock down, a device. Great, make it a hardened target. Doesn't mean they can't get in. Doesn't mean they can't find a way in, but it's a much harder target than than the social engineering, aspect of just tricking somebody and getting access.
Other thing with that is movies, people would sit on bang against a firewall, oh, I'm
Yeah,
in.
I'm in. Yeah.
That doesn't happen. I mean, it does, but not nearly what it does with an email coming in
Yep.
or a phone call saying, hey, go to this website, we need you to log in. That's the issues coming in, is those direct social engineering attacks that are coming, and that's the main thing. They're the ransomwares and all that. But yeah, it's sitting on a firewall, banging against a firewall, people don't have time for that. Plus how easy it is to do now with all the tools that they have. Your hacker scope is so much bigger. The pool of hackers
Yeah.
against you is a lot bigger than it is. And the best thing you can do is make sure your stuff's patched, make sure you're training your end users. So if
Yeah.
somebody does get in and you are fully patched, it's a lot harder for them to use those exploits that aren't
Yeah.
patched.
Well, I tell you, it's interesting. I totally agree. There's a really cool new email. It's not new. They've been around for a while, but I think their timing is right. This email security that's using AI for email security. So it's exactly what you'd think is like, why isn't the filtering better, right? For all these, like it's for us, you and I, it's pretty easy for us to pick out a bad email. Like it's not hard, right? There's only so many things they can do. Oh, yep, you pay close attention to the address. You check all the things. It's pretty obvious. So why isn't it, more automated now that we have AI? And I'll tell you, this really cool company, Dark Trace, there's some cool stuff going on there, that I'm really excited about. And that I think is where we're going to see AI doing really cool stuff because already it looks at how you normally write email, the email you normally get, and it checks all the things that you and I would automatically see, but now it's getting it like in real time. So it's like in milliseconds, it's filtering this stuff through and it's like, oh no, hey, that is clearly not it. There's two S's in that domain name. They're
Right.
like, oh, and normally there's only one, or like there's three instead of two, which other people just like blow right past. And especially if they're in and you get these business email compromises where somebody's in between the conversation, then they hop in at the right time to get that bank wire, which we see all the time, every
Oh,
day,
sure.
so many times they're successful with, and banks see it all the time. And it's like, oh, what do you do? The wire went through, it's gone, the account is empty before anybody even notices it. And so Darktrace got it. That is really cool. If you haven't looked at that, that one's fun and really cool. Um, and like shockingly inexpensive. Like you'd think like, oh, that's going to be stupid. So they're a cool one to keep an eye on for. They're really neat. And it's as long as we're talking AI, it's pretty slick. So
Yeah.
I think that's a neat one. And so I think I like to think that we're going to see more AI solutions like that, where AI is helping us, not
Yeah.
taking jobs. Like, I mean, sure, if you're proof point, you might be like, oh, freaking, you
Right.
might be mad,
Yeah, right.
you might be upset. But for everybody else, that's like AI supercharging what we're doing, making it better. And I like to think that we're going to get there where we're going to see others, like where you can just kind of like what you did with the homework. You point your camera at your computer and like on your phone and be like, hey, is this really legit? Or at you name it, you're having this interaction with a con artist and it's like, oh no, Matt, you're being conned. Oh, cool. Okay.
Right.
And I think we're gonna get there. And I think that's the really exciting stuff to see is like where will AI fit in? Cool on email security is like watching all how you normally interact, and then suddenly, you're interacting differently, like even on outbound, like, oh, you got compromised because you don't normally speak like this. Like that's not it. And you don't normally send email at this time. And like stuff like that, where it's catching those little nuances like, oh crap, how did we not notice that end user got compromised? So that stuff I think is exciting. And I like to think of, how that is going to play out in banks. Like, you know, Will it be because it's a security is not like single faceted, right? It's this layered, approach. You got to harden everything. So, and you're in this, I know I just keep going and going, but you're in this really interesting position and it's exciting because you're in this position where you've got, you're interacting with end users, you're supporting the organization's goals, and you're, trying to help make sure that the end customer is getting the best experience. So all of these tools I think are really exciting. So I'm excited to see what, kind of comes down the pipe here for you guys and how you implement that and stay competitive against the big guys and, kind of help your small community stay secure and, financially safe.
Right.
I think that's the fun stuff. Um,
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I mean, First Independent Bank has been really good, investing in the security and the technology and things like that. So that helps. Our boards are they're a pretty good board on that aspect of it. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. And I think I go back because you said, we're not taking jobs and like that. It's a lot of people are nervous, but if you remember, 2010, 11, 12, when cloud was starting to come up, that was
yeah,
the exact same conversation people were having. Oh, it's going to take my job. No, you still got to manage it. Somebody still has to build it. Somebody still has to get the data. Somebody's still got to do all that. So you're exactly right. It's not going to take your jobs. It might change your job a little bit, but you're still going to have a job at the end of the day.
yeah. I mean, you think about the old timey, telephone operators, like,
Yeah,
you know, who wants? Nobody would want to be that today. Like, it's a crazy idea, but at the time, right, that was a great job, and then technology advanced, and that became unnecessary. Did we go, did we lose jobs? No, the economy got so much bigger, and we generate so much more money, because of this technology. I think it's just so fascinating because you can see now, like, cars driving themselves, you know, i- it's not a big stretch with AI to be like, oh, well, we're like moments away from having robots do all the work, drive all the cars and trucks drive themselves, all the robots do all the work. So what do we need people for? And then we have this Wall-E like world. I don't think that's going to happen for a much longer time because the autocomplete kind of AI that we have right now, it's a super good autocomplete, right? That's what it is.
yeah,
It's not really thinking, it's not really understanding. It's just it's mind blowing how good it is at autocomplete. Like, oh, great. Like you have all the world's info and everything's ever been written. And so when you find those patterns, you're like, oh, did you mean this? Okay. Yeah, I mean it's really cool.
yeah.
But it's not really thinking, right?
No,
And I think you need that level for your robot, kind of security guard, house cleaner, butler, child, your daycare provider. I think you needed to really think and not be like, whoops, I confused Timmy for a burglar and shot Timmy. Like, oh,
right.
no,
Yeah.
don't shoot the kids, right?
It's only as good as the data you feed into it. And that's the big thing is, yeah, it's not thinking. It's got the world's information in its hand, and it's like using its algorithms and programs and like that to do it. It makes it feel like it's thinking, but I don't think it is. It just has the information and it knows what to use and how to use it.
Yeah, no, and yeah, have you been on the internet? I mean, there's so much bad information out there.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
come on. So
I
it's
know.
no wonder there's hallucinations. It's like, damn Reddit, right? I mean, it's so much garbage on there. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff too.
Yeah.
But to be able to discern that and be like, oh, it'd be one thing if it were trained just on textbooks and just on, the published content. Okay, but unfortunately, that's just one small sliver of the amount of information that it really needs to look smart, right? So
Right.
I don't know. I think we're a little ways off from that, from the Gen AI that can really start, you know, changing how we live and what the economy is going to look like. I mean, it's going to advance, but and there's some people who think that we might never get there. Like that Gen AI, it might not be possible. Um, just because we don't understand how we think. Like we don't
Right.
understand where the consciousness comes from. How are we going to stumble upon it and get it to where, we've got that spark of life in computers,
Right. How can we
right?
make light think? Essentially, that's what it is, just light.
Yeah, right? Nope, 100%. Super cool stuff. So I don't know, but I don't think we'll solve it today. But it's going to be certainly an interesting ride. And Eric, I appreciate you coming on the show today. This has been an absolute blast. But before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find out more about you and about First Independent?
Yeah, First Independent Bank. We have a website, basically fibmn.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn. So just Eric Lynner, and it should be one of the first ones that pop up.
That's pretty nice. I have like 400 that pop up for Matthew Connor. So
Yeah.
so that's pretty nice trick you got there.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, thanks for coming on, and until next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.